shoot. I gotta stop watching that. I gotta lock in. That's the. Alright. Yo. Alright. Did he did nothing wrong? I think he did something wrong personally. Good thing my mods are first. God. Mods better be first, you know? I think it's great if my mods are first. Caucasian, Wixo, what's up? What do you want to debate us to debate about, little bro? I don't know. I just want to debate someone, you know? I haven't had a good debate in a while. So I'm just really, really wanting a good debate. You know? And it's just like, I don't know. Best Nation and Aidis Pros Wixo. Um, ooh. Um, so this is a hard one. So if we want to base this off of World Wars, I'd say China for World War III, because I'm starting at World War III if we want to talk about modern history. But if we want to go back in time, um, if we go back in time, I'm gonna have to think a lot. But if we look at like the modern politics of Wixo, I'd say World War III China, World War IV, um, probably West Africa and Brazil. A little interesting with the outcome of that. Um, and then if we want to talk about World War V, I'd personally, I'd personally be like probably, probably Ireland. I'm an Ireland fan. I'm an Ireland fanboy. I'm sorry, but I'm absolute Ireland fanboy. And I don't know. I don't know. I just like them. I absolutely love Ireland. I don't know what it is, but Ireland's just like, yes. Because after colonization, like decolonization, after decolonization, debating, ooh, abortion. That's a tough one. So I say it ain't murder, and then I also say I should not be involved in that choice because I'm not a woman. So, just makes sense, you know. I'm pro-choice, and I don't want, if we ban abortion, I don't want women to abort their babies through drinking alcohol and drugs, because you know there would be some crazy people who would just do that. I'd rather have a safe, safer medical professional do it rather than themselves, because there is crazy people out there. I guess it would be rational in some situations with like money. I'll bite. Community Wixo should be more than often. Um, so I'm thinking about removing Community Wixo. I'm sorry, but I'm honestly thinking about removing Community Wixo. So just removing community Wixo is something I want to do. But I don't want to remove it at the same time. Because I know y'all do love community Wixo. And I love community Wixo. I love the idea. I just can't keep up with community Wixo and all my other content. I'd be fine doing it in like a collab channel. We post once a week, we manage it. I'd be fine with that. I would love that. I would love that for my channel. But I don't have that, you know? I had a whole thing planned. Well, we might be able to do it. What I want to do is I want to pick a day where I just download all the episodes. Like episodes that I already have made. And then just put it on the channel. That way we can see the history of it too. Because people do care about the history of Community Wixo. They will want to see how Community Wixo has shaped itself. But in a me managed collab channel, no. If we want to call it Angolan's Community Wixo, sure. I want to change the profile picture because it ain't just me anymore. I got a team for it. But it, like, deadass, I had 2,000 years worth of Holy Prussian lore mentality. Mentally. Oh. Well, yeah, I'm sorry. I'm extremely sorry. Um, that's a little extreme, bro. You were locked in. Ngolan, you wanted to debate, not a Q&A. I did want to debate. I don't want a Q&A. We could debate about doing a Q&A. We still need something. Yeah, there's been a lot of dark things happening. Like, the Kirk shooting, the memes are bad, but some of them are funny. But I don't get why the nation's so butthurt about it, personally. Like, I understand he's a father, he died, he was a husband too. He died. Um, but what I hate about his death is these videos posting about him talking about politics, and then there's literally a clip of him saying what he wants to be remembered for, and that's his faith. And people aren't talking about it. It's not funny to make memes about a father and laugh at memes. You're so pathetic. How am I pathetic for, like, I never knew him. I could care less. He was a political guy. Nobody likes him. Nobody likes me. I talk about politics. Nobody likes me. And I accept that. You can't like a political streamer. Nobody likes a political streamer. Nobody likes someone who talks about politics. Nobody in the media likes someone who genuinely talks about politics. Like, I like Charlie Kirk, and I didn't. Um, I can agree with him on some things. I could have agreed with him on some things. But, yeah. Just not my type of person. And then if you like him, which you used to say you were glad, like I literally have, I can pull up messages of you saying, yeah, he died. And now all of a sudden, you care. Like, I don't care. To each of, to each their own. heavily find it ironic that he went out the exact way he was advocating for. It is super ironic, and that sort of means something. Um, but no. Um, according to Charlie Kirk's death was worth it to protect our Second Amendment, and it is needed for our Second Amendment. So, um, yeah, I want to remember him as a protector of the Second Amendment, but he would probably support the lack of Second Amendment that the people are given now. Um, I don't know. He's a big, he was a big hate guy, and I don't like that. I'm gonna stop being real about politics, because I lose too many friends because of them. So you hate them too? So I hate who too? What do I hate? I mean, I hate a lot of things. I hated Kirk. I hated a lot of people. I'm indifferent. So personally, I'm not for political violence. Um, Kirk shouldn't have died for this First Amendment. Wait, I like Charlie Kirk, so you hate them too. So your last message was I like Charlie Kirk, and I talked about that. Bro, you make no sense. Or it might have been flagged by my system. It might have been flagged by my system. But I'm not in favor of political violence. Violence is unnecessary. Political violence only creates more political violence. It's a never-ending loop. Are we debating? Yeah, we're debating a little bit here. Uh, talking about Trump collapsing society as we know it. I mean, I don't know. Like, Charlie Kirk supported the Second Amendment, but I don't know how much he would have supported the Second Amendment. Like, I know some people are losing their Second Amendment. Um, a lot of people are losing their Second Amendment, right? Um, small groups of people, small minorities of people. It's disgusting. Wait, hold up. Read my last message. I had a whole paragraph before that. I don't believe that is what I believed when I was 14, far too deep into the Reddit rabbit hole. To each their own. Find it hell. Never mind. Um, your thingy doesn't show. Well, yeah. This is a big talk, but Golan, I know you will disagree with me on this. Alright, what do you have, Fishy? I'm ready. Disagree with me, and we will either find the other's opinion invalid or alright. So TLDR, young me was fear-mongered, believing extremist ideals. I've gotten, I've since gone back on that. Alright. Communism isn't better than capitalism. Communism is better than late-stage capitalism, to an extent. There's, overall capitalism's better, but if you had to compare like late stage communism to late stage or like middle ground communism to late stage capitalism, it's better than late stage capitalism. Um a lot of PBFA, minority people, I don't know how to debate anymore. They're eating the dogs for more info. Bro, I think that's like they're eating the dogs, so they're eating the dogs, they're eating the cats. It's like became the biggest meme of nowhere. Are we debating? Yes. Ngolan, I know you will disagree with me on this. I'm a strong believer in old empire supremacy. Yo, I need a mod to just like review messages. Because there's probably a lot of messages that I gotta view. Glory to Mesopotamia, hell yeah. All hail Mesopotamia. Which honestly, I'm just tired at this point. Tired of the political situation. But literally, what I'm gonna start doing is I'm gonna start farming content off of the political, domestic politics and geopolitics of the world right now. Like, without Trump, all these political streamers would be dead broke. Like, Trump is the greatest thing to happen for political YouTubers. Because they're actually gaining ground because of how crazy he is. Which I find that great. And I want to become a political YouTuber. Um, I have for a while now. Like, originally, I was like, alright, I want to become a political YouTuber. Everybody's going to hate me. I know that. I've watched other political YouTubers. Everybody hates them. So it makes sense. You know, I'm a I'm a dude that's a little bit okay with hate. I mean, I don't mind hate, personally. Like, I can get over it. Nobody cares. I may make political channel that debates capitalism and communism about corporatism. I need to learn a little bit more about corporatism. That would be pretty cool. But yeah, do whatever you want, Benito. Debate it. Like my dream is to be a debating YouTuber. Debate people, you know? And lately I haven't done anything. Like my whole channel's existence, I haven't done what I want to do. And it's like, well, what if I just do what I want to do and do political debates? So now I'm here, like, alright, let's make some MAGA supporters mad. Some Trumpsters. You know what I'm saying? And I think Trumpsters are absolutely insane. But yeah. My personal opinion, Trump's insane. Um, do I think he should be assassinated? No. That would only cause more violence. Am I a fan of political violence? No. Do I think if it comes to the point, will political violence be needed to develop as a society? I mean, yeah. If we go down a side of tyranny, all you're going to be seeing is political violence. I mean, I could look into corporatism and we could debate about it. Um, but I honestly undereducated in corporatism, and I will state that because I don't know nothing about corporatism. I need to refresh my brain because I haven't learned about it in a while. I mean, yeah, that makes sense. Like, you should always refresh your brain. Um, Nothing against that. Look out. Like, some people are just stupid. And Charlie Kirk, he should have had more security on him. But what he did, I wanted to do stuff like Charlie Kirk. I wanted to do stuff like his podcast. I want to do his podcast. Something like his podcast eventually. But I'm not at that level yet, you know? Look into TOR. Alright. The Democratic nominee in 1988 actually wanted to put corporatism systems in America. I mean, yeah, that was at a less radical time. I could see that. Yeah, I'm gonna go watch some stuff about it now. Alright. If Nuke Island's directly on you, could you survive? I could probably not survive a nuclear blast, bro. Like, to be honest with you, no matter how tough you think I am, um, there's no guarantee that I could survive a nuclear blast. But thank you for thinking I'm so tough. And Golan, you're not tough, you're the opposite. Well, I don't care. I'm not tough. I know that. I'm bluff. Or that's what the never mind. I sound too old when I say that. Oh, and Fishy, why are you raising your hand? Oh, and like the stream chat. What are y'all doing? You know, not liking the stream. Absolutely insane. Craziest people ever. Um, Olsen did a Neo by Cal, Neo Persia, Neo Persian. Yeah. What should I play? I want to play something. I want to play something fun. The Democratic Party and Republican Party is corrupt as all get out. I hate the Democrats. I hate the Republicans. What's next? They're the Democratic and Republican Party. They hate each other too much. That's my opinion right now. They hate each other too much. They can't stand each other so much. Like, just accept that y'all are both too radical as a generalized party and meet in the middle. Meeting in the middle. Ideal of corporatism, apparently. Just going off of what Benito told me. Like, but no, I'm gonna do some research into corporatism. Maybe there's democratic corporatism. I don't know. Some I'd like democratic socialism where you can like pick your pick your leader for your government, not your government, but your business. And I think that's a good idea. Like y'all might be against or pro um democratic socialism, but I personally believe that workers should all be voting on their thoughts, their business. I mean, they're all a part of it. I say each person should make the same amount depending on their job. I s- I'm not I'm not a guy who's like hourly workers matter and we should have hourly work. Um, but I don't know. It's a little weird because it depends on what position of power and you are in that business and what decisions you're making. So I want to start personally. I want to remove the hourly wage type deal. I want to have like I don't know some sort of way of managing businesses where you don't pay workers hourly. You pay them by their effort. And like the hourly wage does not properly represent each and every person at that corporation or company. Like it's stupid. And I could never agree with someone who agrees with hourly wages. Because hourly wages make no sense and they're undermining the people who work hard. Like, effort, effort pay is different than effort schooling. Effort pay should be a thing. And I think any person who believes in effort pay, you're just any person who's a fan of effort pay is obviously just wanting a hardworking type of perspective. And fishy. That's not how it works. You know, we don't just pay workers by giving them money. We have to tax that money. And then what people get away with business taxes and, you know, it's taxes or don't work. They don't work. Taxes are extremely flawed. I'm a fan of the tax system with taxes. I'm not a fan of our current system, but our current system's super corrupt. Um, Nobody's been trying to fix it for forever. So, um, tax code needs to be rewritten. But, personal. I would be a fan of effort pay. Now, I'm not gonna be working on some farm or nothing because I'm not looking for that type of job. I do understand that illegals take up those jobs real fast because nobody wants those jobs. And they're not gonna hire no random white guy who they can pay less than the illegals. They wouldn't hire. Like they'd rather hire someone they can pay pennies. Absolutely nothing. And that's like illegals. They like farm jobs, any type of like heavy hard working job. Illegals take up instantly. And people are mad about that. I don't see why they're mad. Illegals are taking jobs that the white people and the legals, not just white people, that won't take the job. Because, let's be real, I'm not gonna be working no job with high intense labor where there's majority Mexicans and illegals working that job. It doesn't make sense. It's a dominated system where illegals work the more laborious jobs and then they get paid less and you know makes sense, you know? It's it's a bad system. It undermines the illegals. But they're taking jobs that white people don't want. And it makes sense. Like, what is this baby game, bro? Bro, I'm just playing a game that I like. It reminds me of Izzy-Onzo. And I love Izzy-Onzo. Hold up. Wait, acting so cold. You got wait. We're gonna rock it till the wheels fall. Hey, 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 hey. Smoke weed every day. Alright. Yo, I literally shot that guy in the head. Play Centauri like a real man. Or women. Yeah. Nah, I'm a real man. I'll play it. I'll play it because I'm a real man. It's so sad corporatism died out after World War II. Yeah, corporatism, I'll have to look into it, but you know, I'll look into it, find out what I like about it, find out what I dislike about it. Send me a few videos, man. Send me a few articles, few videos. Oh my god, it's another game where I play as a square character. This actually reminds me of like that one that one new game about what's it called? I don't know what it's called, but it's this new game. It's like where you're the Confederates and the Union and you fight each other. You should react on stream? Shoot. This better be a beautiful, beautiful form of market. If it's this better be beautiful. If this ain't beautiful, I'll never talk to you again. Um, if this ain't beautiful, I'll never talk to you again. So that's simple as that. Come on. Okay, don't react, then just look at it when you can. Bro, I was gonna react on stream. Bro, I'm gonna have to. Oh my god. No. No, I'm doing this. I'm going on YouTube now. Alright.
When you write, your tone influences how readers respond. With Grammarly, just highlight your
Grammarly.
text and type how you want to sound. Get your message right every time. Download it.
In the public consciousness, there exist primarily two economic models. On one side, there is capitalism, with its emphasis on free markets and entrepreneurship.
Alright.
And on the other side, we have socialism with its planned economy and focus on social welfare programs. As history has shown, the believers in these two models have had their fair share of conflict against one another, and this battle between these two titans of economic models is prevalent to this very day. And it would seem like these two economic models are in no way compatible with one another, like they are destined to be in conflict for centuries to come. However, interestingly enough, there is a third economic model that was prevalent in the early to mid-20th century, and due to being associated with multiple controversial regimes, this model has been largely forgotten in the modern day.
Wait, what regimes?
And when it is brought up, it is rejected as elitist, exploitative, and oppressive.
Benito, what is corporatism? Am I getting into something oppressive?
This economic model is called corporatism. Many people who have researched about the Second World War and fascist ideologies in general definitely have come across this word at some point. Corporatism was the main economic model in numerous right-wing authoritarian countries in the 20th century, primarily Italy, Germany, Austria, Spain, Portugal, and so on. And because this economic model was associated with these authoritarian regimes, it was very easily dismissed as a backwards and infeasible system, which stirred the flames of oppression in Europe.
Yeah, no duh. I'd expected this to be something hated, but not this hated.
With the decline of fascism and other authoritarian right-wing ideologies after World War II, corporatism also started declining alongside these ideologies because, as I stated, its reputation was heavily damaged due to its association with these regimes, and so in the modern world, corporatism has become nothing more than another footnote in history books. As my political views were still evolving in the past, I kept switching back and forth from capitalism to socialism, and then socialism to capitalism. But after a while, as I was slowly beginning to solidify my conservative views, I started researching more into the corporatist economic model, and found it to be a much better alternative to both capitalism and socialism, in spite of its stained reputation. In this video, I will be exploring the origins of corporatism, what the pillars of this economic model are, and if the stained reputation of the system is at all deserved.
Alright, so I guess we're gonna start off by learning a little bit of the history of corporatism. So let's get into that.
In the late 18th and early 19th century, Europe was beginning the process of industrialization, and
Supernorby, of course you know how I do that.
businessmen with a keen sense of entrepreneurship started their own factories and founded the first industrial plants. Said factories needed workers to man the machines in order to produce goods and wares so the owner could make a profit. In the early days of this industrialization, the conditions under which these workers lived and labored in were truly appalling, and the first demands for better treatment started to appear. A famous example of these early voices would be none other than Karl Marx, who in 1848, with his Communist Manifesto, demanded radical changes and called on workers to seize the means of production via a global workers' revolution, after which the wealth and fruits of the labor would be equally distributed. This is in stark contrast to a different work by the Scottish economist Adam Smith, whose 1776 book The Wealth of Nations heavily influenced the start of the Industrial Revolution. In contrast to Marx, he advocated for free markets and as little government involvement in the economy as possible. It has to be taken into account, however, that Smith and Marx were alive during completely different times in history, and that their respective ideologies were therefore heavily influenced by the world they lived in. Smith, for example, was born in 1723 and died in 1790, which rendered him unable to see and reflect on the impacts of his ideas, whilst
So this is like before globalization, I think.
Marx was
And then
born in
Marx is much more.
1818, with him seeing the many problems and the injustice of industrial capitalism. Corporatism started to emerge as an idea in the 1880s and 1890s, a few years after Marx's and a century after Adam Smith's death, and therefore it had the power of hindsight compared to the other economic models. This model was heavily influenced by the papal encyclical Rerum Novarum, which was issued by Pope Leo XIII in 1891. In this publication, the Pope criticized the quote, misery and wretchedness pressing so unjustly on the majority of the working class, whilst he also rejected socialism and affirmed the right of private property. And so, the idea of corporatism was born.
Imagine being able to build an app with your name on it, just by thinking about it. Meet Base 44, a complete AI creation.
The term
I disagree.
corporatism comes from the Latin word for body, corpus, and it is no coincidence that it was named after this exact word. According to the theories of corporatism, an economy should work the same way as a human body, with the organs representing the various industries and parts of the economy, and only if they work together can they make sure that the body, i.e. country, stays alive. If we look at capitalism and socialism, we can see that in both
That's kind of smart. I could see that. Working like a human body. brain in the heart, you know.
Both systems, there is a hint of class conflict, where a certain economic class, whether high, middle, or lower, dominates the rest of the classes. In capitalism, it is the high-ranking class that dominates over both the middle and lower working classes, and in socialism, it is the lower working classes that exert their influence in unions over the higher and middle classes.
So, this is just comparing the value of laborious activities in socialism versus capitalism, with the lower class labor being valued a lot more in socialism, while higher class labor, like working in a business, stocks, corporate corporate organizations, and just big major companies, managing those is much more valued in capitalism.
But in the theories of corporatism, class conflict will only make the country and economy unstable and inefficient.
That is true. Class conflict will always make a country inefficient and fight each other,
as these classes struggle for power over the other. Corporatism believes that in order for an economy to be stable, there needs to be harmony among the working classes, with all three working together in order to ensure prosperity for their nation. Let's say, for example, you have construction workers and architects. The architects make sure to lay out the plans on how a building should be constructed, and the construction workers are the ones who build the building and the foremen supervise their work. If there is conflict between these groups, the building will certainly never be able to be built, or at least will take much longer. Without the architects, the construction workers will not know the layouts and how to build, while the architects, despite having the blueprints, can never build the building on their own. It is only when both groups learn and realize that they are both dependent on each other and choose to cooperate can the construction project be realized, the same exact way organs cooperate and work together in order to keep the body healthy. And this is the core pillar of corporatism, choosing to promote class cooperation rather than class conflict, where all three classes realize that they need the other classes in order to function properly and efficiently, unlike class conflict, where the working classes are engaged in a constant power struggle. Corporatism seeks to end class conflict once and for all, and
so I actually agree with that. Class conflict needs to be stopped. So I can see why so many people agree with corporatism, but also I could see how the lower class would disagree with it, and then the higher class would agree with it, and then the middle class, I don't know about the middle class. Um, yes, but this is based on valuation theory Marx had in his Communist Manifesto, which isn't necessarily true. Alright? Let's just keep on watching.
bring harmony and prosperity to all three working classes. Just as in socialism and capitalism, corporatism as well has
Bye, Red Team Wixo.
its own subunits with varying beliefs, but in the end they all follow the basic and core pillars of the corporatist economic system. A lot of these corporatist subunits emerged long before the rise of extreme right-wing and fascist states in Europe. The idea of liberal corporatism emerged during the 19th century in the United States and has been attributed to English liberal philosopher John Stuart Mill. According to his ideas of liberal corporatism, the state should not completely disregard the idea of capitalism, but rather have the higher working class focus more on recognizing the needs of their employees, rather than focus on making large profits off their backs. And then, of course, you have fascist corporatism. The vast majority of fascist regimes in the 20th century used corporatism as their main economic system, most notably the Kingdom of Italy, which was the first fascist state to adopt corporatism. However, the main difference between fascist corporatism and the original idea of corporatism is that the state would incorporate every single corporate interest. In the early 20th century, corporatism was mainly practiced and promoted by Catholics. As I mentioned previously, the idea of corporatism emerged under the Pope, and it was an attempt to integrate Catholic social teachings into the modern industrialized society. This is why the vast majority of state Catholic nations across the world had corporatism as their economic system. Even after the post-World War II Reconstruction period, there were attempts to bring back corporatism in order to combat liberal capitalism. This was supported by Christian Democrats, National Conservatives, and even a few Social Democrats. And so, neo-corporatism came to be, and was most prominent in the 60s and 70s. There were numerous attempts to bring corporatism to the United States in order to replace the capitalist model. The most prominent politicians who advocated for corporatism were Gary Hart and Michael Dukakis, both of whom were part of the Democratic Party. Unfortunately, no matter how much they tried, they could never revive the idea of corporatism, especially in the United States. Today,
okay, if there's one AI site builder you need to meet, it's this dope tech from Wix.
If you would say that you are against capitalism, you would be labeled a socialist and communist. If you stated that you were against socialism, you would be labeled a capitalist. It's almost like in the political world, you are forced to pick one of these two models. And
that is true. So I guess I could see how corporatism could serve as a gray zone, but it's a little weird.
While the majority of the people do pick a side, I personally advocate for the third option. I view both capitalism and socialism negatively in society, and
I do too. Late stage capitalism has failed, and socialism, well, name a successful socialist nation. Um, all you got is what? Yeah, just name one. Like they're all failing as people die. And capitalism, same thing. Name the successful capitalist nation. Like you can't. There's always flaws. And with corporatism, there's going to be flaws too, just like any other system. So all three systems are probably flawed. There's no perfect system. But let's
they
see
both have showed their ugly faces numerous times, whether that would be the horrors and famines under the numerous authoritarian socialist states, or the corporate greed expressed by capitalists all around the world, being more than willing to let thousands of people starve to death just so they could make a profit off of their misery. It's time for the people to realize that there is, in fact, a third option, that the only way to combat both capitalism and socialism is through corporatism and class cooperation. And despite corporatism being relatively forgotten in the modern world, I am never going to give up the battle. Capitalism and socialism may have driven corporatism into the ground, but as long as there are staunch believers in it like myself, the battle will never be lost. Hello there, my dear viewer. Thank you so much for watching this video. It truly means a lot to me. If you liked what you were watching, why don't you go ahead and subscribe?
Alright, so let's go and see what sounds he used. So it says, so I might read these. But yeah, I definitely need to learn more about it, but That's just talking about the short history of it and what are the values? Like, I need more values of corporatism. I need to know how to interact with the government body too. There's a lot that I need to know about it. But personally, I don't think corporatism would be a bad idea. Maybe a little bit more like capitalist leaning corporatism, but neo corporatism, that's pretty weird. But yeah, I'll definitely do some research tonight, Benito. Or I might fall asleep to that video that you just sent me. But I'm gonna get off stream chat. Goodbye.